the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one, especially if the other one's a douche. Welcome to This Weird Road, everybody. This is Boli Thorn, and as always, my man,
Ulf Hammerheart. And don't worry, folks, I'm as weirded out by what just happened as you are.
Well, we're
Welcome
going
to our
to
little corner of the interwebs.
we are going to be talking about solitary practitioners,
Yes, indeed.
pagans
For those
in general, or
Right.
specifically solitary heathens, which
Right.
almost seems like
It's almost oxymoronic,
you're
but
moronic.
no, it's okay. It wasn't an insult, buddy. I'll explain the big word later. I'm gonna get.
Nut
He
punch!
didn't wait till we were off air. For those who may not know, because I know we have some listeners.
You might want to scoot a little closer because it's not picking up. Anyway.
Let me get a little closer to our new mic here, folks.
Ah, crap.
We, for those who may not know, because I know we have some listeners that aren't pagan, some that are new to the faith, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's part of the problem. I was thinking the mic was in the bottom. It is not. La, 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 la. Sorry.
He's doing a mic test. He thought it was in the bottom. He likes things in the bottom. But solitary versus group, basically. Some pagans, get together in covens or other groups with different names, kindreds. And a lot of people,
like I say, heathens use kindred most frequently.
Yeah, and a lot of pagans, be they heathen, with any other path, are solitary and not always by choice. So, but we both know a lot of people who are solitary for different reasons.
I was gonna say
So we figured we would talk about that this evening.
I think a lot of it, honestly, is that being an outsider and being a loner is part of the quote charm of being an other religion. So I think a lot of people choose it and then intentionally isolate themselves as, I don't know, almost like a status symbol.
Yeah, that could be, and I also know some people who, part of the reason, like you said, especially when they were younger, chose they simply didn't agree with the Christian faith that a lot of people in our neck of the woods grow up with, and they wanted something different. They found whatever form of paganism, and the solitary was a part of it. I can do this by myself. I don't have to listen to a group.
There we go. The mic was turned almost all the way down.
The mic was tricky on us. So sorry if the first half of the show's a little whispery, folks. Bear with us. We're getting better. But
I'm just imagining somebody listening, like in their car, having it way up.
And then all of a sudden it goes, boom!
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Jess. That may have happened to. But
that's where she listens.
Right on. But like I was saying, some of the people who my man Boli here was saying, who for at least as when they start, being solitary is part of the charm. Sometimes the novelty of that wears off real quick.
Yeah,
and then you're like, I don't have anybody else to share, because let's be honest, for most humans, part of anything like this, part of their faith sorry, I'm stumbling over words today, folks. It's been a long week.
It's every day, don't lie.
Yeah, but it's worse today. Part of what kind of goes with walking the spiritual path is sharing it with others. Being able to talk your beliefs out with others and your philosophy. We've been working through things that you might be going through that are related to that. And when you're a solitary practitioner, that's a lot harder.
Yeah. It's made easier by the internet, of course.
The internet has eased that burden for sure.
Like most things, it made trolling a lot easier, for one.
Well, yeah, but we're supposed to smash the trolls, remember?
Yeah, but, it's still sometimes fun to make idiots, drown in the saliva of their own nervous breakdowns.
Yeah. Anyhow. Again, that's a topic for another show.
All right, so I think the reason behind a lot of solitary practitioners of any particular pagan base is that, like I said, at first this is a thing that, I understand, and this is a thing that calls to me, and most people who fall into it are used to spending all their time alone because they're their interests are a little eccentric
Yeah.
or esoteric,
Too different from the quote unquote norm or mainstream.
and become resistant to the idea that there are other people out there like them. So they sort of start to pride themselves on being the outsider, but then, like you said, as time goes along, it's like, well, crap, I want to be around people, but
Because that's a separate part of the human condition. We need, as much as other humans annoy the crap out of both of us sometimes,
true story.
we need people interaction. It's just how we're wired. I mean, not to say that there's anything wrong with being some of those people who are lone wolves and can survive just fine alone without human contact, but even few people I know who are the most staunch uh, examples of that stereotype of the lone wolf still need the human contact once in a while and still go out and do things in group functions and
Like one of our favorite listeners, uh, actively spends his time away from people. People make him nervous,
yeah, he's very introverted
and yet was still showing up to the moots to
and
be around
I was
people.
actually looking forward to them.
Right, and we met him at a very social thing.
Yeah,
So
he,
it was an ordeal.
I would describe him as reluctantly social.
Yes.
And this person is what we call heathen adjacent because he comes to the pub moots as a heathen adjacent person, but he's very curious about our faith, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And he actually looks forward to the events.
Not like we ever talk about anything.
When the last one got canceled, he was very sad.
Not like we ever actually talk about anything related.
Well, we do as I've said before, we do in a way because simply coming together like that is a very heathen thing.
Yeah.
You know, and this that kind of relates to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because we know a lot of solitary heathens, but most of them are solitary by circumstance.
Yeah.
So, which is why we did a thing like the pub moot, because as soon as they get the chance to come together, it's like,
which, by the way, still not in a pub.
Which, well, that's the term that was used when it was first explained to me what these were. So that's what stuck in my head. We just call them the moots now. They're not at pubs, but at any rate, when we started this,
right,
a lot of heathens we know, and even some heathens we didn't know, you know, in the local community, were like, "Oh, gathering," and you know, kind of like moths to flame, because hey, we're solitary because of where we live or because of how we work, or you know, and by which I mean mundane work schedules.
Yeah.
A lot of things force people to be solitary practitioners. So when they get the chance to come together with a heathen, listen to me, well, hopefully, but with a kindred or a coven, or just a loose stitched group of people who are like-minded, so they can talk about these like-minded things that they don't get to talk about with other people. There's a certain release to that,
right?
You know, that's important. I think being able to talk about what you believe or what struggles you're going through with somebody who may not, you know, they may not agree or they may not comprehend everything, but they're on the level you're on with it, so they at least understand and they're willing to give an ear.
Here's one of the things that I've been back and forth on this issue, basically my whole existence as a heathen,
right?
Because I've made no secret about the fact that I'm a Lokian. Like those are the patterns that I am at most in line with. Yeah. Right. Now,
you didn't
I'm not one of those people who
seek out Loki. It's more like Loki was already in your life,
right?
By the way things were, and you just gravitated towards it,
right? So, at first, I was like, okay, I thought that I would have to kind of hide that about myself and everything like that, but then I found out that there's whole other groups of Lokians, and then I encountered some of them, and I'm like, this is why I spend all my time alone, because you guys are nuts. Because the first thing anyone wants to talk about is chaos magic. And I'm like,
that's not even one of our things.
Well, yeah. And they're like, oh, Eros and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you don't get to blend this is not your fucking foundation. It's not your concealer. You don't need to blend it. If you want to do that, remain with Wicca. And that's not a disrespect to Wicca, but Wicca is a patchwork.
But I also know that you have encountered other Lokians with whom
that I've
you vibed very well.
Yeah. Well, because they didn't immediately go, hey, the world is too standard. We need to your shit up. And I'm like, dude, without rules, you have nowhere to bend them.
Loki does represent chaos, but
Well, chaos is a
ironically, well, the word is a Greek thing, but ironically, to focus in on that aspect of him is to then apply order to the chaos. See, so you could throw that back at him and mess with him.
I have.
Because you're trying to stabilize the chaos too much at that point. But
like, if you're trying to control it, you're trying to control it by practicing chaos magic. No one can see my massive air quotes here, but I definitely believe in and have used magic in my life. I am a Bruce Banner of sorts, in that everything is either not effective at all, Bruce Banner, or they have to call someone in a Hulkbuster costume to bring it down because it is explosive.
it's either in abundance, it's feast or famine with you when it comes to magic.
Yeah. So I don't practice anymore. It's just become a thing. It's like, it's something I don't need in my life. If I can't get it by will and through action, then I don't need it.
Which actually, that's another reason that a lot of pagans in general, and even some heathens we know, seek out to be not solitary and seek out groups.
Yeah.
Because if they want to work magic, a lot of magic works better in groups. Rune magic can be fairly solitary, and I don't know enough about Sid, but it seems like it works better with group practitioners. But I've heard it said so many different ways.
Or
Cider.
Because there's often an R that I don't know if it's pronounced or not.
Yeah, they like to throw R's at the end of the words.
I don't talk ancient Norse, so
you barely speak the English.
Right.
Wait, no, that's me. But I mean, so there's another reason to seek out practitioners.
I think,
ironically, it goes both ways. It's to seek out, or if you certain magics are a reason to be solitary too. Like I said,
Right.
Rune magic you can do fairly well on your own, but the application of rune magic is usually divination. There's a word there, but divination type magic. And if you're doing divination magic, you're probably going to do it for others. So again, there's not being solitary.
It's one of the issues I had with one of the authors. It's a female author, and I can't remember her name. I don't feel as particularly bad about it because it was awful. She was like, "Oh, you should do rune readings for every decision you make. Like, you're going to the grocery store, should I buy milk or not? You don't need a freaking rune to look in your refrigerator and go, well, milk is a thing I currently use and do not have any of. Should I buy milk? Oh my god!
I knew somebody in the past who there's a Christian thing called pendulums, and they would use pendulums like that for literally every decision. What he had for lunch, he would use a pendulum for. Well, no joke. That sounds like me being a sarcastic ass, but that's
people not having any desire for accountability.
Yeah,
and it gets to the point where they want to be able to blame any bad decisions they make on, well, the crystal told me to do so.
So there must have been a reason.
Yeah, we won't see it right now. It's like, dude, no one cares if you had a ham sandwich or a tuna sandwich. Just eat your food and get back to work,
This is probably off topic, but don't do that. Don't blame your bad decisions on the gods or the universe. And what kills me about people who do that, they want to blame the gods or the universe or whatever for the bad decisions, but then take credit themselves for the good ones.
Right. Well, I've seen this a lot, mostly with Christians, where God is responsible for every good thing in life, and the devil is responsible for every bad thing in life. And I'm like, then where does free will come in? Wasn't that the ultimate gift that God gave us? It's free will? And like, but the devil! And I'm like, you and your devil! And then I elbow him in the nose.
At least in your head.
Oh, yeah, okay, we'll say that.
If you elbowed as many people in the nose in real life as you wanted to, you wouldn't have a job.
I wouldn't have freedom. I'd be in jail all the time.
That would be not having a job.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Well, I mean, I guess they technically do give prisoners work, but
Sorry, we're having to take a tiny little distraction break here. I was distracted because there's
He
something
gets
wrong with me.
distracted easy.
Ooh, shiny. Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
Oh no, he's turning into James Woods.
What's wrong with James Woods?
But
Whoa! Is my hair out?
there are we're bopping around here as we tend to do, folks. But
Uh,
let's do it this way. I mean, we're good at this version of things. Which do you prefer? We've both done a little bit of both, solitary and group practicing. I know that's not the word. I did that on purpose. Which do you prefer, or do you have a preference?
if I were still in the practice of practicing magic,
Well,
it would be.
Even without the magic, though, just practicing our faith.
Right. Well, I'm stretching
sorry.
this out. Okay, we have an hour to fill.
I screwed up a lead in. I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, you did. Wait. What? Anyway, if we're talking about practicing magic, I do just basically everything solitaire, simply because of if you're not completely focused on the goal, it's not going to go right. And if you have more than one person, it spirals out exponentially. So I always find it weird, but that is really the purpose of ritual, is to focus the mind.
Yeah, focus the mind and focus your energy.
So if you've got a group of people and they all perform a ritual, but basically where my power source, so to speak, I'm quotey fingers
He's
there.
doing air quotes again, yeah.
I get it from you. I learned it by watching you. Okay,
yeah, I do it all the time. We need some little like sort of online musical indicator or something. Or something. Anyway,
my power source, so to speak, isn't one that you can generally use in front of a lot of people, anyhow. Hey, it's a quick way for me to focus, and it draws up a lot of energy. But in general practice, I prefer to be with. They don't have to be like-minded,
right?
But at least in the same sport. We don't even have to be in the same ballpark, just same sport.
And again, without sounding like a stereotype here, that's very Lokian of you, because you don't mind if they're not like-minded, because then it generates, a lot of people think I'm going to say conflict here, but debate, and that's really how one grows in their ideas, is to have constructive debates with other people.
Right.
Just because somebody doesn't agree with your opinion, A, doesn't make them wrong. I know that one's hard for you. And B, you can learn things, that way.
A lot of the reason that I sort of balk hanging out with other Lokians is, like I stated before, they're all very woo. Everything's woo and crystals and energies, and I'm like, sometimes the cigar is just a fucking cigar.
Not reality based enough for you.
Yeah.
I see. When it comes to the solitary, there I go, not with the English again.
You talk
solitary versus non-solitary. I'm actually in a similar, pretty much in agreement with you. Like when I do magic, which again is not very often. It is usually with the runes, and there's no reason for anybody else to be around for that unless I'm doing a reading for someone.
Right.
Which I've never actually done readings for anybody else yet. I don't have that level of confidence in it, but that's a different thing. But
not in it, but in your understanding.
Right, in my understanding of it is what I mean. Yeah, in my ability to do it properly.
Right.
But when it comes
you do it properly.
Thanks, buddy. So that kind of stuff, I got no problem being solitary, and I have no problem. Like, I don't need to run out and go, look who I believe in, blah, blah, blah. But it is nice
to have a rather large hand.
So thank you very much.
I said you where?
We know where it is.
Take a drink, Alex. Actually, at this point, take a few.
But when it comes to other things, I do enjoy being around kindred. I do enjoy being around other Alcitor, because then we can talk about things, like, especially if something's been stumping me. Like, I've been thinking on this thing about the lore. What's your take on it? Because I'm stuck. Or I've been thinking about doing this. Or I've read this. Maybe I've read this about one of our deities, but I thought it was blah. What's your take? Because of the as we've stated on here bazillions of times at this point, the oral start of our tradition, the fact that it took so long before it got written down, a lot of things are mishmash. And you can, a lot source wise, a lot of things are off kilter. You can read, things where you think for years, okay, this is what this deity represents. This is what this activity's for. Da da da. I'm good. And then you read something else, and you go, wait a minute, really? So it's nice to have other people as sounding boards.
I go like really. I will read and I will learn what I can from other sources. But the truth of the matter is, most of this, especially when it comes to ritual practice, stuff like that, is guesswork. You had people pushing, like piecing it together, and it's all through their own filters and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
it's not to say people are misrepresenting on purpose, but like you said, everybody has their own filter, so things are going to come through. You and I can read the same source material and put it through our filters and come out with different answers. Oh, it's this. No, oh, it's obviously this. So, and we've done that before.
Right there, where it goes all the way across.
Touch the table.
Yeah. For me, it's more intuitive. Like I feel that it should be more intuitive. So you take the information and what does it mean to you? And then you kind of run with it from there. And if you have too many people, that's why I say, like, as far as ritual is concerned, when you have too many people involved, you lose focus.
Yeah, I get that.
Now, like when we used to gather at Stephanie's, we would have a big circle with a fire and everyone would do the thing, but every ritual was the same. Every ritual was passing the horn and saying the things.
Yeah.
And that got a little tedious because in the few months between events, there wouldn't necessarily be that much happening in my life, and everyone was coming to the table, so to speak. There was no table unless it was in the fire, but everyone would come to the table with these big like world events, and I'm like, are you guys Facebooking this thing? Like, are you taking your normal mundane events and blowing it up into this thing? So because I don't have a spiritual event every 3 months,
Yeah, because you and I were, again, kind of the same in that. We'd stand by the fire and be like, hey, I'm still this person. I still did these things. I mean, toast and boast have their place, which is what we were doing.
Right.
But I do understand that sometimes something like that can be too frequent.
Tedious.
Which it can get tedious, which is why we normally have our bloats and symbols and everything that are spaced out. So, you do your toast and boast at those points, boom, 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 and you have something to talk about. Things have happened in your life to celebrate or to lament and ask for help for or whatever, But
if we were eating right now, for me, this would be like something we're discussing.
Yeah.
Just food would be involved.
Food is always involved. Food and or meat, always involved in our stuff. I love it.
Right.
And actually, one of the things I don't like about our, I've been going on about talking about both sides of it, and I'm mostly on the group side of it. But one thing I don't like about the group gatherings, for us as heathens specifically, I don't know if other pagans have anything like this that can get in the way, but
I've practiced with a lot of different types, so I can tell you.
Oaths are a big thing for us.
Absolutely.
And you never don't make an oath you're not ready to keep. And if you make that oath at a group, you are weird, and you're automatically expecting those other people to keep you on point with that oath you take.
Right.
And a lot of people, nobody wants to be surprisingly thrown in to have to be somebody else's caretaker or babysitter. I mean, if they know it's coming, somebody pulls you and says, hey, I'm going to make an oath over the horn. I need help with this. I want you, that's a different thing. Or if they tell the group beforehand, sure, okay. But a lot of times you get people that get the horn passing and, quite frankly, get a little tipsy, get a little into their cups. And then the next thing you know, they think it's a cool thing to grab the horn and make an oath, and you're bound.
By this time next year, I'm going to be president. And it's like, this isn't an election cycle, and you're poor and not a Cheeto.
And never been in politics.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously, doing what we do, my man here's that we're exaggerating a little, but yeah, exactly.
I have said, I've been present at one of these wild, way out there oaths, and when it got to me, I said, no, I'm not any part of that. This person's full of crap, which is why I'm not friends with a lot of people, because I don't let them run their mouth.
You have to do that if you can sever yourself from the oath, and some oaths are easier to sever yourself from than others.
And the sooner you do it, the better.
To help support with, but a lot of times that to me is one of the downsides of being in kinder groups and things is if you get somebody that acts before they think, acts before they think like that, they can get you in trouble. And a lot of people just brush it off. Oh, we don't have to do it. But I take our weird and our oaths and things very seriously.
That was one of the things.
So if somebody catches me up in an oath, I'm going to do my best to support it, do whatever I need to do to keep them in line or whatever. But the whole time I'm going to be grumbling.
Right.
Didn't ask for this.
That was one of the things that always bugged me about Stephanie's. Is the first thing she would say is no oaths. No one speak any oaths.
Yeah,
and it's like,
and that can be bothersome too, because it's like,
that's in the other direction.
Yeah, what if this is the only outlet you have for these spiritual things? You don't know when another one's going to happen, and you have something you feel like you need
when
to make an oath on for whatever reason.
When Rick and Shannon got married, that was an oath.
Yeah,
and I was there to witness that. And if Rick, not like he would, but if he called me and was like, "Hey, I'm having this problem," I would do my damnedest to help him.
Yeah.
Or Shannon, for that matter. And I don't even know her.
Yeah.
Like I witnessed
it. Rick, so
yeah. And I've got to see little specks of her throughout her Facebook posts and stuff like that.
Magic of the interwebs.
So that's great, and I like her. What I see of her.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they're together. And I would do really just about anything, short of making family-like sacrifices.
Right.
To help them. I don't think they're ever going to be in that spot, and I don't think they would turn to me if that was the case.
But you were there for
I was
what
there.
Essentially was a life oath of theirs, so you feel it your responsibility to help out when you can.
Yeah, I do take that to heart.
That's how big those things are for us oaths. For most of us,
even just witnessing someone else's oath does, in some small way, bind you to it. Another reason why the more, we'll say, weathered heathens don't tend to gather in groups.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't have time for your bullshit. I've got real world things to deal with.
Gods know what I'm up to. I'm good.
Yeah. So, I think there's basically a time and a place for each side of it.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's hard to know where that time and place is. Yeah.
All right, we are coming up on the breaking point here. We're at 27 and a half minutes. That's good. I'll throw
music time.
Me humming in here or something. I don't know.
Oh, he's going to throw a hummer at you, folks.
This is the theme Gary Show. How do you like it so far? Please don't sue me, Gary Shandling's estate.
Yeah.
Estate means that he's dead. Oh,
he's not yet.
Gary Shandling is dead.
He did that for a reason. I'm a putz, but not for that reason.
Well, yeah, those weren't connected.
All right, easy aside. I hope you're enjoying, folks. I actually have a certain slant on this topic I want to bring up when we come back.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
All right. Later, taters.